Okay, we're going to talk about the aims for childbirth education. So I've got some up here on the board. There are more. There's 100 different aims for childbirth education, but these are some of the main ones that are out there. If you look at the 5 methods that we're talking about, you can have a look and you can identify some of the main aims for some of the methods. And you'll notice that as we go through, not all of the aims are given the same importance in every single method. And I will start talking to you soon, and I will continue to talk to you throughout this class for you to ask you what your main aims for your childbirth education is going to be. Now, that's not to say you're not going to include everything, right? Because these aims here, we'll talk about them in a minute, but these aims here, if we look over them briefly, we want all of them in our classes, right? If I look at that, I think, yeah, I want to have my student who's going through my childbirth education class to know all of this stuff. But I can almost guarantee you, unless you're going to do a class that's like 20 weeks long, you're not going to be able to cover all this in time. One of the hardest things for childbirth education, the methods that we're going to look at, and also your own method, is what they leave out, right? It's to decide what to include, which is the easy part, right? We want to include everything. The hard part is deciding what to leave out. And when you look at the methods and you critique them, one of the things that you'll be critiquing about mostly is what their main aim is. Because what their main aim is means that they're going to have to leave something out. So some of the aims include stuff like decreasing pain or decreasing the perception of pain that women feel in childbirth education. Providing information, providing options, informed consent, and other things, and expanding people's options. So including stuff like chiropractic care, for example, in terms of positioning for a baby. There's a huge part of providing options and information in childbirth education. Creating support networks is really important. I know that I am still friends with some of the people who were in my childbirth education class, and my daughter is now 11. They became, for me, in that first couple of years, one of my main support networks. So creating support networks, especially for women who might not have a strong support network as others. So, for example, if you're thinking that you really want to work with teenage mums, then creating a teenage mum support network might be really high on your list of things that you want to do, because it's really tough. And if they don't have support from their family, then creating, the more support that we can make for everybody, obviously, the better that postnatal time quite often is. Involving the partner. You'll see as we look through the childbirth education methods, there are some methods that actively work towards involving a partner in birth. Bradley is one that I can think of, off the top of my head. And there are other ones that have the partner more along as along for the journey as opposed to a leader of the journey, right? So there are 2 different ways of involving partner, and that's an interesting thing to think about when you're thinking about your aim for your childbirth education. And another aim quite often in hospital classes, but also in birthing centres and stuff, is to get people comfortable with the birth location, so that when you walk into the room, you're not feeling like you're entering a foreign environment. You actually know where you're going. You know how to get there, and that might also include knowing some of the standard protocols that happen. Whether we agree with those or not might be a different story. But knowing that they're there also means that we're providing information, allowing women to give informed consent, but also informed refusal, right? Because that's, to me, is part of informed consent. So as we go through and look at these next 5 methods, have a think about the aims that the methods have for childbirth education, because I guarantee all of them are slightly different in terms of the importance that they put on each of these aims. But also have a think about your childbirth education class that you're going to set up. And what is your aim? Obviously, you want to include all of them, but you're going to have to rank them, because you're not really going to have time to give all of them 100%. So have a think about what's really important for you and what's important still, but perhaps of lesser importance.